going to explain about the United States and China's relation. The United States and China are fighting for dominance of the global economy. The United States was once known as the world's largest economic and military power, but it has since been surpassed by China as the world's second largest economy and military power. China has surpassed the United States as the world's largest trade nation, dominating markets such as automobiles, computers, and solar panels. This has made the United States concerned, and China has become an American competitor. American and China's relation has become uncertain, and there has been a trade war between China and America. The United States has launched trade wars against China as it recognizes China's potential to acquire and undertake large-scale manufacturing of innovative technology and others related to security.
During World War II, the United States and China were allies fighting together against the Japanese aggression. You must have heard of the Flying Tigers, an American volunteer group helping China fight off Japanese invaders. They flew Curtiss P-40 Warhawk jets, painted with a menacing shark mouth design that eventually became iconic.
Next, Farid Zakaria presented a perspective on the U.S. policy towards China that differed from the general consensus. Farid contended that the U.S. policy against China is successful, where he observes and explained that the American strategy against China is more than just a constructive engagement, integrating China into the globe, but it also includes prevention and a certain levels of restraint from the start. After other allies embraced China, the United States moved to restore relations with China. But at the same time, the United States also maintains good relations with Taiwan and other Asian countries. Many critics, however, believe that America's strategy towards China will fail. According to Blackwell, among the criticism that contributed to the failure of American strategy was the perception that China did not have a good strategy for managing or repairing relations between the United States and China. Chinese officials claim that the United States alliance system in Asia, which dates back to the Cold War, must be abolished. Chinese officials suggest that the United States' Asian allies should cut ties with the United States. Refusal to do so could lead to an unfavorable People's Republic of China response. Moreover, Chinese officials also assert that the United States' attempt to retain its influence and dominance in Asia are just a strategy to keep China at bay and oppose it.
Next is how COVID-19 affect US and China relation. According to Farid Zakaria in his lecture, Steve Bannon, who is Trump's chief ideologist, mentioned that the purpose of the Trump revolution is to demolish the administrative state, which is Robin 2019 stated that the press demolition of the administrative state to express effort to eliminate corruption from the government and give businesses more freedom in production was invented by Steve Bannon, the former Trump advisor. However, because of the COVID-19, the Trump revolution is not suitable to be done. Instead, it might affect the United States. Then, because of Trump policy, the United States failed to deal with the COVID-19, where the coronavirus outbreak was not taken seriously by the Trump administration. Because when other countries that have high income expanded screening and developed tracing mechanism, President Donald Trump has declared that the coronavirus have been handled carefully.
China-U.S. relations began the year on a positive note when President Donald Trump and Vice Premier Liu He signed the Phase 1 trade deal at the White House. But that was mid-January, and by then, COVID-19 was already spreading, bringing new challenges to the relationship between the world's two largest economies. Trump has repeatedly criticized China over its handling of the pandemic.
I'm not happy with China. They should have stopped this at the source.
A move critics say is meant to draw attention away from his own mishandling of the crisis.
Whether it's the loss of jobs, the loss of competitiveness, now the deaths from COVID-19, Trump doesn't take responsibility, but rather tries to blame China.
When Joe Biden became the 46th president, he has to restore from the organization that Trump has withdrawn from, and he wants to take a different approach compared to Trump. Kirby 2021 stated that after taking the role of president, Biden has fulfilled his campaign promises by joining back the Paris Climate Agreement and the World Health Organization that Trump has withdrawn from fulfilling campaign promises. Biden also has developed and implemented new strategy that Trump opposed and disagreed with. particularly when it comes to the COVID-19 crisis in the United States. According to Stoltenberg 2021, President Biden took the COVID-19 issue seriously, and on Thursday, he issued a sequence of executive orders and presidential instructions geared at establishing the kind of centralized control that the Trump administration opposed and objected to. Face mask, quarantine, and the use of vaccine to combat COVID-19 disease are among the measures that have been enforced by Biden.
It was one of his first acts as president. Joe Biden is already following through on his pledge to fight climate change, issuing an executive order rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement. The international accord, signed by nearly 200 countries.
We can do this if we come together. That's why, ultimately, our plan is based on unity. It requires reasserting our global leadership, which is why I took an action yesterday for the United States to rejoin the World Health Organization and to reestablish our global pandemic office in the National Security Council.
Joe Biden also tried to restore the alliances and want to have a good relationship with China because after 3 years of slowly deteriorating relations under Trump presidency. In Trump presidency, relations between the United States and China have been negatively affected in 2020. The United States keep blaming China for the coronavirus outbreak, remain involved in a trade war and fought for 5G networks, and also human rights violations in Xinjiang and Hong Kong. Fareed Zakaria also mentioned in his lecture that Joe Biden believes in the alliance system and open international economy, and he also has a belief that the United States should be a preserver and a balancer of all that. He also believed that when it comes to human rights, the United States has a moral obligation to conduct in the nation. Tosi 2020 stated that Joe Biden, who was the former vice president, always expressed his idea about constructing partnership, defending human rights, and sticking up to the dictator, where this topic is rarely mentioned by Trump. Biden mentioned in his convention speech that he promised to collaborate in a shared purpose for a more secure and peaceful and successful world. According to March 2021, President Joe Biden promised to restore partnership through diplomacy and regain Washington's leadership role on the international stage, which he stated in his first foreign policy statement since returning to the nation's highest office. At the State Department, Biden also told reporters that America is back, diplomacy is back, and that his government will try to reclaim their reputation and authority. In the lecture, Fareed Zakaria said that most of Trump's policies are based on his emotion and impulse, because according to Jordan Tama of American University, a U.S. foreign policy specialist, the Trump administration did not make every foreign policy decision incorrectly, and making rash measures to reverse every Trump decision will create a form of whiplash that will make the United States appear untrustworthy as a partner.
And they know when you speak for me. And so is the message I want the world to hear today. America is back. America is back. Diplomacy is back at the center of our foreign policy. As I said in my inaugural address, we will repair our alliances and engage with the world once again, not to meet yesterday's challenges, but today's and tomorrow's.
The last one is conclusion. In conclusion, the United States ruled the world in a unipolar system before shifting to a bipolar system following the demise of Soviet Union hegemony and the collapse of communism. Relations between the United States and China alike was unpredictable and strained as a result of the two countries' competition for the world hegemony. America are concerned and unsatisfied with China because it has emerged as a sophisticated economic center, has military strength in Asia, and has emerged as a possible successor for U.S. dominance. When the country was plagued by the COVID-19 outbreak, President Trump and President Biden has opposing views on how to lead the country. It is possible to show that there is a distinction between a weak and a strong leader. A powerful leader will constantly be worried about or look after the well-being of the people in his country, where the leader readiness to take rapid and direct action in conquering any issue. Weak leaders are sometimes viewed as insecure leaders who prefer to avoid discussing or resolving issues that will affect their own workforce.